The Pittsburgh Steelers are once again the last team in the NFL to play a divisional game. Last year, they had to wait till Week 11. This year, in Week 6, they get their first AFC North opponent, the Cleveland Browns, coming to Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. Thanks very much for being with us for the matchup presented by Shell Polymers alongside Missi Matthews and Matt Williamson. I'm Rob King. Missi, Steelers are coming out of a bye, right? They're 3-1. Last week, they got to watch all the other AFC North opponents, falter and lose. They have some guys getting healthy. What do you sense the team is feeling now coming out of the bye?
Well, they're the only team in the AFC North with a winning record, sitting at 3-1. The rest of the AFC North is 4-11. And as you said, everyone losing this past weekend while the Steelers were resting and recharging post-Dublin. A big win there. And then, as you said, getting healthy, I think, is the biggest thing, especially for the defensive side of the ball. We've just seen so many different arrangements. This will be the first game this weekend, if Alex Highsmith can go, that him, Nick Herbig, and TJ Watt will play together this regular season. So I think vibes are high, building off what they've been able to do. And as you said, finally get to play some AFC North football.
And as far as AFC North opponents, look, Baltimore extremely banged up. Don't know whether Lamar Jackson's going to be able to go as we tape this today. They've got 6 other Pro Bowlers who have been out of the lineup. They're a mess. They got trucked by the Texans last week. Yeah. Cincinnati hasn't looked good. Cleveland might be the toughest opponent in the AFC North right now. If you're going to pick an opponent, are they the toughest one to face?
I 100% think so. And I think they've exceeded preseason expectations. The other 2 teams have really struggled because their superstar quarterbacks have been out, but not entirely. They have other fundamental problems for sure. Maybe the Ravens can get through this week with the Rams, bye week, and then finish super strong, but they've really dug a hole. And I found it really interesting, too. In the history of the AFC North, this is the worst collective winning percentage that all the teams have had, and the worst
point differential,
right? Too. So it's the worst state of the AFC North we've ever seen.
Right. Well, and that leads us to today's Sunday's game. The Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns. It is time to look at the matchups when the Steelers have the ball. And Missi, good performance in Dublin, running the football, and you want to see him continue that against a Browns team that is number 1 in the NFL against the run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you saw them do, not knowing if Jaylen Warren was going to play or not, in that game in Dublin against the Vikings, Kenneth Gainwell gets in there, is able to really take advantage, almost had 100 yards on the ground collectively, as you said, for the entire team. Their best running performance so far this season, and something that you feel like with an Arthur Smith offense, you want to see more of the physicality. You saw the offensive linemen, celebrating and signaling first down, something that they need to do. But this is not an easy task at all when you're going against this run defense of the Cleveland Browns. It's very typical for AFC North football. But they held the Baltimore Ravens to 45 yards rushing when they played them and lost. It is just one of those things they're going to have to work. We saw, a lot of Darnell Washington, a lot of Mr. Eligible, Spencer Anderson, coming in and being able to help with that. And whether they have to continue doing that, something is going to have to click. But Coach Tomlin cautioned earlier this week, you might be getting 3-4 yards a clip, and that is considered successful when you're going against these guys.
Yeah, they got a very good front. Yeah. It's a deep front, and Carson Schwessinger, part of a really impressive-looking rookie class. He is second as far as snap percentage. He doesn't come off the field. He wears the green dot. He's an impressive player. So up front's a problem. And those linebackers, Devin Bush is playing a lot of football for this team. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's maybe the best defense in the league. Everyone knows about Myles Garrett, but the rest of the defensive line aren't as big of names, but they've been playing really, really well too. I think they're extremely well coached. I mean, there's a lot to fear from this defense.
Yeah, watch out for Malik Collins, who could be a key, but my key is going to be the low-hanging fruit. Myles Garrett. You got to stop Myles Garrett. He has 4 sacks this year, but if you watch them play, he's playing better than his statistics. He has been dominant for the Cleveland Browns. Look, it's hard to say that in Pittsburgh, right? The comparisons with Garrett and TJ Watt, but he has been, I think, phenomenal for the Cleveland Browns through their first 5 games. As I said, he has 4 sacks in 5 games. Malik Collins right behind him with 3.5, but Malik Collins gets to play with the one guy everybody's trying to stop in Myles Garrett and can't seem to find a way to stop.
I think he's having far and away his best season. And I know he's not the most popular guy in this city, but everyone has to admit that he's been a great player up until now. Well, he's leveled up in 2025.
I think, too, Coach Tomlin even said, he's a game wrecker. It's the same thing you'll hear opposing teams say about TJ Watt. But with Myles Garrett, the success that the Browns have had, limited success against the Steelers in recent years, is because of him making them one-dimensional, being able to take advantage. I mean, he had 4 sacks last year in that wintry, snow globe
game,
game that did not end well for the Steelers. But, I mean, he really did take that game over. Sacked Russell Wilson 4 times and pretty much just enabled them to do anything. So I do think that is something, and it's like every team, you pay attention to them. It's not going to be, one-on-one with Myles Garrett. That is not a situation you want to be in. You have to have help. You have to chip him and do whatever you can to stop him.
And you have to know where he is, because he's lined up over the guard. He's lined up outside. They twist and stun him. There are a lot of ways they try to get him free. Okay, so Matt, we've stopped the run, right? We've eliminated Myles Garrett. So what's the next key?
So you basically know what you're going to get with this defense schematically. Is they want to be in a lot of base personnel. They're 4-3. They play a lot of single high. They don't have a lot of light boxes, and they play a lot of man coverage. Now, they made a cornerback trade midweek, though. I don't know if that'll change their approach a little, but they're great at stopping the run, as we mentioned. Their pass rush is great, as we mentioned, and they trust their corners and cover guys a lot. So you're going to have to deal with a lot of man coverage, and don't know if Calvin Austin's going to play. That doesn't look real, it doesn't look great at the moment. So Metcalf's going to have to really shine, I think, versus man coverage in particular.
So we're talking about this from the Steelers' perspective, Missy, but you can think about it from the Browns' perspective. If they can stop the run, if they can unleash Myles Garrett, they have a 4-time Pro Bowler in Denzel Ward that you can match up and maybe take your chances elsewhere in other spots on the field.
Yeah, and I think he's gone against Metcalf maybe once before as well, but I think it is true how you said, Aaron Rodgers likes to get the ball out quick, the fastest in the NFL, and if you can stop the run and make him hold on it for just, even half a second longer trying to find DK or whoever else they're going to have out there, it could be very problematic for the Steelers. So hopefully, it's something where Arthur Smith, I think, especially that game plan in Minnesota, just really tailoring it to the opponent. Hopefully we see more of that this week and them start to build on something there.
All right, it is time now for our weekly Immaculate Prediction Challenge, which is live here for Week 6. I have a very interesting question for you. This is a tough one. This week's prediction, who will have more tackles, Patrick Queen or Peyton Wilson? We're giving away 2 tickets to the Steelers-Bengals game in November, a $50 Steelers Pro Shop gift card, and a classic terrible towel. So check it out now and join the fun. Up next, a look at the key matchups when the Steelers are on defense against the Browns, when the matchup presented by Shell Polymers resumes. Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the terrible towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com. Well, the Cleveland Browns traded quarterback Joe Flacco this week, one of 2 trades the Browns made in preparation for their game against the Steelers. So they are going with a rookie quarterback in Dillon Gabriel. He's going to be their guy moving forward. Maybe Shadur Sanders down the line. I wouldn't expect to see him. It looks like Dillon Gabriel, who started last week, is going to get his second start. So, Missy, let's get right into the matchups, the key matchups when the Steelers are on defense, and that is for you, rattling the rookie quarterback.
Absolutely, and it's something, that's typical of a Mike Tomlin defense. We saw it when Dick LeBeau was here and his record against rookie quarterbacks, but I think, second start kind of thrown in there in terms of, being able to prepare a little bit more for this one. And I think, his fellow teammate, former Duck, Derek Harmon put it best. He's a smart football player. You can see it. Coach Tomlin talked about the snaps he has, the years of experience he has, how he's a year older than Nick Herbig, but just a rookie. And keeping him in the pocket is something that Derek Harmon is, used to seeing from their time of practicing together at Oregon. So something that they'll have to work on for sure. And I think the Steelers defense, the past 2 games, was able to get the takeaways, 7 sacks, 11. Those statistics need to continue in terms of rattling him and making his decision making not so easy for him.
They moved on from Joe Flacco, right? They clearly have made the decision they're going to go with the young quarterback and Dylan Gabriel. Look, we talked about how good their defense has been. They have some elements in offense. They have a gaping hole at the quarterback position, and Joe Flacco was not very productive for him, and Dylan Gabriel is going to get a shot to see if he can push the offense. And look, this team, I think, could easily be 2-3, the Cleveland Browns, with better quarterback play.
Yeah, and at least they need to see what they have. They know that they drafted Gabriel as well as Sanders. They have 2 first-round picks next year. I don't think anyone's expecting them to win 10, 11 games. They're probably going to be picking near the top of the draft. Do they need a quarterback or not? So they have to find that answer out. But a massive theme with this team is youth, youth, youth. I mean, the Deshaun Watson trade put them back in such a hole in terms of draft capital. They're playing the most rookie snaps of any team in the league on purpose. They just want to get young and see what they have.
Well, one of their young guys is DeJuan Jones, right? One of their young offensive linemen, because the rest of the guys are veterans. And that interior, Posick at center and Teller and Bitonio. That's a really good threesome in the middle. But my key is the left tackle position. So with DeJuan Jones out, Conklin is now playing right tackle. He's had his own injury issues. They have a revolving door at left tackle. They traded for Cam Robinson last week. They benched him in the middle of the game. They don't know who's going to be out there, and that means to me Highsmith and Herbig. Highsmith coming back off the ankle injury, and Herbig, who's been sensational while Highsmith has been gone. These guys could be the key guys. You expect T.J. Watt. The guys in the middle. It's going to be, I think, a good matchup with the Steelers' interior guys against guys that have Pro Bowls. Both those, the starting guards for the Browns have Pro Bowl nods, but I think this is the clear mismatch up front.
I 1,000% agree. Left tackle is a problem area for them. And the one thing I'd expand upon what you said is if they have to really start helping the left tackle, does TJ get Conklin alone?
Right.
Which certainly favors us.
Yes. Right. And TJ Watt has been on fire.
Yes. He has 17 sacks in career games against the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett only has 13 against the Steelers. Have to
just
say
saying.
That, just have to say that there, just like, Dylan Gabriel will be the 41st quarterback to start for the Browns since 1999. Just some things we like to say here in Pittsburgh.
That's 11 more than any other team.
Incredible.
That is wild.
Yes.
Wild when you think about it.
He's the 10th one since Baker Mayfield.
Which, and you look at what Baker's doing these days, you're like, man, should have kept that guy.
Sure. So let's get to your key, Matt. And look, you have a young quarterback. They have good tight ends. And your key is slow down the tight ends.
Yeah, we only have seen one game with Gabriel behind center, but they became very tight end centric in the passing game against Minnesota overseas a week ago. And Stefanski does a good job of scheming up Njoku over the years, quick hitters. They want to get the ball out of the young guys' hands quickly. Protection's a bit of an issue. But they're so tight end centric, and we've seen tight ends do some damage against the Steelers this year.
Yeah, it was better with Deshaun Elliott back. When he was gone, they gave up 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Last week, they really did a great job of shutting down Hawkinson and Osborne from the Vikings. So hopefully that will continue with Deshaun Elliott back. And knowing, there's no Jefferson. Look, Judy's pretty good. We understand that. But there's no proven Jefferson, Addison kind of targets behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Deshaun Elliott was a missing piece, not only in terms of the physicality, the smarts, but the communication that he has. I do want to know what's going to happen with Jalen Ramsey. I think he's been such a focal point, and just the splash plays that you see from him in clutch times. So his availability, I think, will determine a lot too, and it's kind of frustrating in a way from a fan perspective. you've wanted to see all of this defense out there together at one time. It feels like we still have not got that yet. So hopefully with the bye week and some guys coming back, we'll get closer and closer to that. But, you know, getting Alex Highsmith and Joey Porter back, it sounds like that's going to happen. That's obviously good for the D.
All right, so the 3-1 Steelers coming off their bye week are going to be taking on the Cleveland Browns. Sunday, kickoff is scheduled for 1 o'clock at Acrisure Stadium. For Missi Matthews, Matt Williamson, for our Steelers production crew, I'm Rob King. We thank you for watching this edition of The Matchup presented by Shell Polymers.